department?
My name is Kim Schoolfield, and I work with the Spirit Program, cheerleaders, dancers, and mascots.
All right. And how long have you held this role?
Since 2007.
So is that like 16, 17
16,
years?
17 years.
Wow. And so you said cheer, dance, and mascots make up the program. Do you want to go a little bit into that, like exactly what each one of those is?
Yep, we have a cheer team that does game day for basketball, but they're also competitive, and the same for our dancers. They entertain at basketball games, but they are also competitive. And then the mascots, of course, are just the face of the university, making appearances and taking lots of photos.
Is that like one set person for each, or?
Actually, for the mascots, we have 3 Mr. Bearcats and we have 6 Miss Bearcats currently on roster.
So they kind of just rotate throughout.
They do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and did you start the Spirit program, or did you take it over from someone?
I took over the cheer team in the middle of a season. The coach had to leave over Christmas break. The dance team had ceased to exist, and we brought that back in 2008.
Yeah, and did you create this, the mascots too, or did you take that over as well?
I took that over as well.
Awesome, from the same person. She did all of them?
Yeah.
Awesome. And so we're kind of talking about COVID. So when that hit in 2020, how was the program like immediately affected?
It changed pretty much everything we did. We were at practice on Friday, March 13th, getting ready for nationals, and the athletic director came in and said, "Pack it up, you're going home for 2 weeks." And we were like, "No, we're getting ready for nationals." And he was like, "No, you're going home for 2 weeks." Little did we know that we would not be returning that semester at all. And when we did come back the following fall, that season would be completely different as well.
So was that like no game days, no competitions, or were you able to do basketball games?
We were able to attend basketball games, but we had to wear masks and sit in the stands. We couldn't go on the court. We couldn't even sit beside each other in the stands.
No.
We had to leave 3 empty seats in between us and an empty row, front to back. We were not allowed to travel and compete, but we were allowed to submit virtual entries for competition that year.
Yeah, so that must have changed the whole dynamic of everything. I mean, that must have been hard on you as well as the girls. I mean, going from doing that as a team to being so separated and isolated. And so you mentioned the mass. Did that have to be just game days, or was that in practices as well?
It was in practices as well.
Wow.
There was constant random COVID testing. If you were around anybody who had tested positive for COVID, you were required to sit out for 2 weeks. So it was rare that we ever had a full team practice.
Wow.
Just because being exposed to it kept you out.
Yeah, and that
well.
must have been hard for the virtual competitions. I mean, trying to get everyone to practice together.
Very much so.
Wow. Did you ever lose hope?
I did. It was very discouraging because you didn't know when it would end. But I think I always thought in the back of my mind that it would end, but I had no idea that the effect that it would have on the overall sustainability of the program.
Yeah, so would you say COVID completely changed the program even to this day?
Yes, I feel like we are still in recovery efforts now. The program as a whole, we used to house about 50 student athletes. Today we're just under 30. I feel like that is contributed to COVID just because students got accustomed to focusing on one aspect of their lives, just academics, and they were doing that virtually mostly. And so they didn't have as much practice with time management and multitasking, and kind of got comfortable just focusing on 1 or 2 aspects of their lives, where students used to, be students, be on the cheer team or the dance team. They were RAs, presidential ambassadors, they were in sororities, they were involved in lots of activities, and that was okay. But post-COVID, I see that more students are comfortable only focusing on one activity at a time.
Yeah, so what's your future goals for the team?
I want to see our numbers get back up to where they were. Currently, we're at 10 dancers. I would like to get that back up to around 18 to 20. We're currently at about 23 cheerleaders. I'd like to see that get back up to the 35 range.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.